What if we want to have the possibility of moving things around in a network once we have already mapped something to our preset manager? Let's say I want to have these two nodes inside a container to make things a bit more tidy. I'm going to move them inside here. Let's make a split screen so you can see both things at the same time. Now, if I want to try and set a preset for these operators here, then I get an error. That is because these operators now have a different path than the path they had when they were first set in the preset manager. So that makes sense. The preset manager tells me that the operators maybe have been removed or is invalid. So it's asking if I should remove it from the database. In this case, I don't want to remove it from database because I simply reorganize them. It's not that I got rid of them. If you indeed want to get rid of them, you should say yes, and then all memory for any one or both of the operators will be gone progressively. So in this case, I want to say cancel because I do want to keep the operators. I just move them. So what I'm going to do is instead going to storing, and here you have an update option. This is also accessible if you right-click on this empty space and click on update. So I'm going to update. That is going to update the paths of everything that was associated to the preset manager. If that is successful, I will get this notification. So in this case, if I now try to set a preset, let's say preset 1 again, then now everything works. And that is because every operator in or associated with preset manager has a tag. The tag gets added on creation time, and it refers to this tag here, the tracking tag under options. This tracking tag is editable if you want, if you make it not toggle read only. So you can create your own tracking tag. And this is handy if you want to have different preset managers in one same location. I will explain this in the next video. For now, let me explain you how the searching works. So here you have a search in option. By default, this is in whole network, but you can also say specific operator. And this is so because the preset manager has two ways to avoid conflicts between copies of preset manager. So in this case, I have my tags that I just mentioned, TDMorph path, and they live in this container. And because I only have one preset manager, I don't mind looking for any container in the whole network. You may move them anywhere you want. So you're sure that you will have only one preset manager, you can leave this as whole network. But let's say that your project evolves and you have maybe two containers, then you may want to say, hey, wait a moment, I want to look in a specific operator for this preset manager, and I'm going to look only here. And if you have a second container and you have a second preset manager, then you may want to say that this second preset manager looks only here. In this way, when I do an update, and if I keep moving things around, then these two will not enter into a conflict. Because if I do update here, well, it tells me there's no path to update because they were already updated. So let me make here another level. I'm going to collapse them. If I want to update this, they have been updated. And now it knows that they live inside here. This one, however, still lives in that location. So it has no conflict whatsoever because these two locations are separated because I'm pointing them to different places. So that is the purpose of this element here. Now, let me go back to the default because there's an important aspect that we need to address, which is, if you notice, after I move my operators into a new location, then we have a problem with every single operator that is a reference to an object. And that is for all the op type parameters. For example, chop, cop, dat, then object, op, panel comp, pop, sub, and top. Why? If you click on here, it doesn't take me to the right location. And that is because there is no way to know where it was that you wanted to have those nodes. You maybe move these 3 levels, 5 levels deep, or you maybe move it 2 levels up. So it's impossible to deduce that with any method that is not extremely involved and not scalable. So that's why it's important, like I mentioned in the previous video, to have an absolute path. At least in this way, you can track whatever happens when you move your paths and fill this by hand. So in this case, I know that this lives in how to preset manager. Now it's in container 1, base 1, LFO. So in this case, still not correct, because I did this the wrong way. So this should be like this, container, base 1, all parameters, LFO. Okay, and now here's my LFO. So now I will need to override this current preset, preset 1, overwrite, so that it captures that correct location. And now when I trigger it, it will know, okay, that is correct. And now the other ones that are not correct, then they disappear, because now we have no idea of what's going on with them. If you see on the print, on the Textport, then you can see here some messages that help you and says, for example, this one, this noise one has moved. I set the parameter to the old path so you can fix it manually. So it's trying to help you as much as it can, but sometimes, especially or particularly with these that are references to operators, it will not be able to do so. So that's the only caveat. If you're not using any of these types of parameters, and maybe you're just using menus, ints, toggles, floats, these kind of operators, then, those kind of parameters, then there's no problem whatsoever when moving things around. Okay, I hope that gives you an idea of how to move things around, how the update system works. In the last video, we're going to show how to deal with different preset managers a little bit deeper. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my work and want to support future projects and access to all my tools, please consider subscribing on Patreon. It really helps keep creation and research going. You can also connect with me through my website, Instagram, or just drop me an email. I would love to hear from you. All links are in the description below. See you next time.